potatoes? Oh, certainly. Cheese. Carrots? Hi. Hi. So, audio degradation. The name somewhere. I don't know. So, we're talking about before the idea. Audio degradation. Some people want their records or stuff from their records to be really fucked up. That's not possible. I mean, why would you want to fuck shit up? What we're gonna learn today is how to fuck your audio intentionally, which is even worse. Why would you want to do that? So what we're gonna do here first is we're gonna change the camera orientation so you see the screen and not my ugly face. We can't screen capture. That's too expensive to make. You do not understand. Open this thing here. No Reaper. Shit, I didn't buy it? Okay, so here we have Reaper, I think. I swear, it's legit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna essentially disintegrate audio in it back to the way people used to do it in the past. Although people didn't do it on purpose in the past, it just happens that their converters were pieces of crap. Before we do anything, we need audio source to do that. What can we use? We're gonna create a new track, insert something else, and I know what we use. We're gonna use our favorite Canadian recently moved to Mars. The fuck? Ah, there it is. On a whim, I found this thing, which sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
Okay. Please don't sue me, Andrew Huang. So first things first, we're gonna trim it to the appropriate size here. Now that I have our source file, please don't sue me, Andrew Huang. What we're gonna do is we're gonna test. How can we degrade it so shit sounds like old audio? As discussed with people of several different walks of life, maybe degrading it to 64K MP3 perhaps will give us similar results of what people used to do in the past. Boils down to having shitty converters. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. Now, let's just say this is the original Andrew. This will be the 64K MP3 Andrew. So we're gonna take this track, solo it, or maybe this track is not necessary. Remove that. Then we're gonna render this to output format's gonna be MP3. We're gonna select constant bitrate. It's gonna be 64K. Add render to new tracks. Render, and there you go. There's our new one, which sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
Cool, isn't it? So you see the original sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
And the 64K MP3 sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
But we can actually go down even further. MP3 was a fairly new compression format. I don't remember where MP3 came to life. I'll probably put it on the screen about here. What we can do instead, I mean, for certain people's purposes, this is enough degradation. But what if you want to even further degrade this sorry excuse for a track? Now, I don't know. What we're gonna do is instead of saving it as an MP3, which would add tons of high frequency noise and things like that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually save it as a WAV file, but we're gonna save it as an 8-bit WAV file. We're not gonna do 44.1. We're actually gonna do 8,000, 8K hertz, so 8-bit at 8 hertz, and then we're gonna see what happens. So let's go. Original sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
8-bit wave at 8K sample rate sounds like this.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
What we can do, let's just say you don't want this much degradation, which I don't think even the crappiest converters back then were this shitty. What we can do is we can preserve that 8K. Instead of doing 8-bit wave files, we can do 60-bit PCM, which is probably gonna be closer things like the Korg SDDS 2000, for example. So we're gonna try that. There we go. Now, just to recap, original.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
16-bit wave at 8K sample rate.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
Yeah, that's kind of close to this one, which is the 64K MP3.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
This is more, this bottom one is closer to what you'd have actually, because there was no MP3 conversion back then. So what people would have to cut out to compensate would be, instead of using 24-bit WAV files, they would use 16-bit PCM WAV files at a lower sample rate, because a lower sample rate has less information, therefore is a smaller file size. So yeah, that's very close to what you'd find on the Korg SDDS 2000, for example. But what we can do is we can go down the rabbit hole even further. What if we actually degraded to the point that we lost the information the audio quality completely, to the point where nothing, you'd not even be able to recognize the original? I mean, since WAV is essentially a lossless format, the only thing you're doing by converting it to lower bit rates and lower sample rates are just removing information without taking away what's beyond the information. It's like compressing audio. What we can do that makes things even worse is, instead of just doing this, what we can do is we can take this file, render it again, then we're gonna rename it to Untitled Shitty even more. Now we're gonna use MP3. We're gonna set this to constant bitrate. Now we're gonna record it at 8K, and we're gonna use the fastest encode. Okay, and we're gonna render that. We're gonna hear the original first, so we learn how the past was supposed to be.
Wasn't like this when it started. Wasn't like you, broken hearted, couldn't fight it.
Yes. Now we're gonna mute this, and now here is 8K MP3 with the fastest encode, so it should sound like this.
I just killed a man, put my gun up to his head, pulled a trigger, now he's dead.
Sounds like Andrew is muffled, slightly muffled.
I just killed a man.
Cool, isn't it? So this is one way you could do audio degradation, which is the only way that matters. You can do this with all sorts of things. One thing you can also do with this is you can actually use this to make VST plugins, like old instrument synth emulations, like early digital stuff, like the Yamaha DX7, sound more like the original thing. Because some people complain that, oh, it does not sound like the original thing. Well, the reason it doesn't sound like the original thing is because the converters, we have better converters. So what you're actually hearing is more information that wasn't present in, for example, a DX7, because the DX7 most likely has 16-bit converters that probably convert 16-bit 44.1 or even less. As you can see, the 8-bit wave or 16-bit wave at 8K resolution, it's fairly good quality compared to just the MP3 thing. So that was a small video. I guess that's it. There was no... don't watch that documentary I was watching earlier.